So the 1+1 or like add-on that I would have to this would be, yes, you have to go through the full process. And really the scientific method, right? You need to go through every single step and not just go through it, understand it, and be able to leverage data throughout it and to think critically about it. So that umbrella concept of critical thinking, you have to apply in every single step as you're going through it. The +1 and 1 for any of our basketball fans out there would be communication. You have to communicate. So yeah, you can go through that whole process. You can be really good at your analysis. You can have some amazing visualizations, or you think they're amazing visualizations. That's a whole other thing we can talk about, right? Visualizing the data that you're trying to communicate. But at the end of the day, if you can't communicate out what your vision is, and I shouldn't use vision, right? Because we're using that as that purpose-driven thing, but what you are trying to convey to your audience, if you can't do that, it doesn't matter how good your data is. It doesn't matter if it's high quality. It doesn't matter if you've done the most amazing statistical analyses out there and you are pulling out your SPSS software from grad school and you have this down. If you can't communicate it out, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't matter, which gets us back to the grocery store, where when you put it on the end cap of the aisle and people see that $2, $4, $5 or whatever it is, and they are like, oh yes, this is it for me. That's communicating. So I would add that on top of this, right? It could be umbrella, like the critical thinking piece, but it's almost like the glue that binds all of this, those two C's together. So that's the only thing I would add is you have to be able to critically think. Again, that was already through that, but the communication piece, you have to be able to take your data and talk to the right people. You have to do it in a way that's going to drive buy-in and get you meaningful action, whatever it might be. So if we talk about L&D a lot because we come from that industry, right? So if you're trying to change the behaviors of your people that are going through the program that you've created, you need to be able to appeal to them, right? And you need to be able to appeal to their stakeholders. If you are in an HR role and you are trying to get your whoever to start thinking about how do we approach our entire talent acquisition, all of it, all of TA, or maybe even if you're looking at career progression through our organization, how do we support our employees through their life cycle? And I recognize that skills are the way to do it. I need to show data on it, and I need to be able to communicate that effectively to get that buy-in. Communication, critical thinking plus communication as like an umbrella thing to support all of those pieces, I think are really, really important.
I mean, that's been the great thing about our year together, right? Working on this paper, that we have, so in the model, we do have things like insight and communicating insight for decision making. But the purpose of us collaborating was that your model deals with culture, leadership, and communication, and some of these other things. And the other couple of bits, such as the data literacy framework, plug so nicely into the model that you have, that overarching model that allows us to think about sustainable cultural transformation. That synergy has allowed us to really, really put this stuff into writing. So it's really good that you mentioned that, because it's good that both of our approaches are dovetailing into adding value, which I really like.
Agree. Yes, so, I completely agree.
We've gone through a model. We've talked about the importance of the data literacy and different facets of that. The rest of our paper, which we have other conversations about that we recorded, touches on not only the model that we've just described, so an overarching framework for this, data literacy we've just talked about, but also a strategic approach for AI and data implementation, which brings the three parts of the paper basically together to give some actionable takeaways for folks in the L&D industry to really think about data literacy in the age of generative AI. Anything I've missed? Does that seem fairly all-encompassing?
I think we've caught it all. So I keep having these like +1s, success factors around all of this.
Yes.
Right? It's really, really
not
important
the LMS.
to think about that. Yes, yeah, it's so important to think about that. We have learned a lot along our journeys, and there's lots of things that we want to share. We can't even cover them all in the paper or in our podcast series right now. So obviously, we want to have continued conversations with lots of people out there. So whoever's listening in, please contact us. We'd love to speak with you. Lessons learned, tips and tricks, things to consider as you're going along your journey. I mean, we've also been describing, this is not a one and done. This is something you're going to have to continue to look at. AI is going to continue to evolve. And as that evolves, the data with it will, digitalization with it will with it. And then also your mindset, your approach to how you handle that has to evolve with it. So yes, that's my +1 there.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but I would say that. So I was giving a couple of end of year kind of talks and writing a little bit around the end of the year. And I think that 25 is going to be an interesting year, but it's going to rest, I think, more on AI literacy than data literacy. But the two can't really be separated too much because, as we've said, AI needs data. So I think data literacy is going to be very, very important. And to echo what you said, I think, generally speaking, L&D teams should be examining what they have in terms of their own literacy and skills and what the organization needs. And that will vary by sector. But we have written a paper. Go and read it. And contact us if you want to talk about any of the things that we have mentioned in these conversations, in the podcast side of things, anything that you read on the paper, or you just want to discuss and want to know more about what your approach should be for data literacy and AI literacy, then drop us a note. See you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Before I stop recording that, should we do an outro to the whole thing?
Maybe?
Yeah, let's just do it. Right. So, after a series of conversations talking about our paper, Data Literacy in the Age of Generative AI, it's been an amazing few conversations, but I would like to, of course, thank you, Dr. Taryn Hess, for collaborating with me on this paper and contributing to all of these discussions that we've had. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been wonderful working with you. Obviously, lots of continued conversations are going to happen. Maybe more white papers, we'll see presentations, things out there. We're so passionate about this and just want to keep talking with everybody about it. It's going to continue to evolve, and I'm excited to see what next year looks like and even beyond. So thank you also. And looking forward to more conversations.
See you soon.